Hello friends, welcome to a new video, web development in 2001. So in this video I am going to tell you about the roadmap for a web developer in 2001 or a wannabe web developer in 2001. There are very different terms which are very confusing, so I am going to tell you about those terms, how to learn those terms which are so confusing. There are a lot of technologies are there which should be learned, which are the trends are there which you should learn, which you should not learn, but they are there. How the front end is there with the back end, how the back end combines with the front end, those all the things which I am going to tell. So I am going to show it through a slide. So let's get started with the slide. Okay, so let's me present now. So yeah, so web development in 2021, a practical guide. So as what is this guide for? As I have told, this is a roadmap for the web developer in 2021. This includes the different technologies to choose from, as well as some new trends and guidance. So I will tell you about all of this according to my experience also. So as you all know, I have some experience, and right now also I am an architect in my company, so I need to keep an eye on the new technology, how everything is going. So all those things I generally keep an eye, and I am more lean toward React, but everything is good. Okay, so let's go ahead. So there are three types of web developers. Okay, so first is the front-end developer. The front-end developer is a person who knows HTML, CSS, SAS, JavaScript, TypeScript, React, Angular, Vue, DOM. So you don't need all of know all of them. You can do with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. TypeScript is optional. Then you choose any one framework, either React, Angular, Vue. If you choose Angular, by default TypeScript will come because Angular code is run in TypeScript. And React, it is optional. TypeScript is optional. Some people like it, some people don't like it. We'll learn about detail on it when you go to the slide on TypeScript. Okay, so and we'll learn in more detail on it. On backend developers, so there are many languages to choose from in backend developers. So backend developer are there from the old days. So there are languages, means if you want to continue with JavaScript, there is Node.js, and the newer language of newer framework of Dino is there, which is created by the someone who has created Node.js. So Dino is there, but it is too early for Dino. Then Python is there, then C# is there, PHP is there, which was always there. PHP, it is still relevant in today's world also. And then Java is there, the default language for enterprise. Java and C#, they're used a lot in enterprise, because in enterprise and bigger application, the load is so much that Node.js app cannot do that. So Java and C# are required in bigger projects, and enterprise just love them. And backend developers should know database also. So database, there are actually two types. One is your NoSQL databases, which are new, and the old SQL databases, relational databases, they are known as. So like MySQL, Oracle, Sybase is also there. So newer databases are like MongoDB, Cassandra DB, and Postgre is again a very good database, but it's a relational database, and it's very good. Means I'm soon going to release a video on that with the latest stack. Okay, so then the last type of developer is a full stack developer, who is both a front end and a back end developer. And it is something very difficult to achieve, but it is very easy to achieve if you stick with JavaScript languages. Means if you know React, if you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript and React, and then you learn Node.js, which is very easy to learn, you can be a full stack developer. But in the industry, there is another type of full stack developer which I know, and they're very difficult. It's very difficult, and that is suppose React with Java is there. So that is in very high demand, but that is very difficult to achieve. I also tried to achieve that, but that is very difficult. But Java on itself is very difficult to learn. Okay, but that is in super high demand. React with Java or Angular with C#.NET, that is also in very high demand. Okay, but then you have to learn two different languages in that thing. Okay, so that is kind of full stack developer. So next is career option as a web developer. So see, whatever I say, it's mostly with the Indian context, because India is different than the rest of the world. We have 5 million developers working, 5 million or 50 lakhs developers working, and around 3 million are working in service based companies. So we tend to be different than what the rest of the world is. So the number one choice for developer still today in India is a developer at a service based company, either the bigger one like the big five, all TCS, Infosys, Wipro and all this, or there are many startups, many services companies, small, even mine is a service product based company. So there are many like that. So the first option is developer as a service based company. Okay, the second is developer as a startup. India is the one of the top startup ecosystem in the world, so developer as a startup. Third is developer at a product based company. So product based company are which make products. So sometimes startups can be also known as products, but product based company, you can differentiate it, like they are bigger, like Cisco and all, and even like Walmart, Tesco. So Walmart, Tesco, they are not developing any product, but they themselves are the product. Okay, so because they have their own very big e-commerce site, so that themselves is the product. Because I have worked as a contractor at Tesco, so I know that that's a product based company. Okay, so then developer at FANG, all the FANG companies are here. FANG means Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix and Google, so all of them are there here. Even you can include Microsoft in this list. So that is very difficult to achieve, but there are ways, and I will tell you what are the ways to achieve it. Okay, not at FANG. I'm going in a broad way. If you want to look for FANG, there are many good sites out there. Then the other option is freelancer, consultant, your own business. You can do a freelancer thing, but freelancer on the platforms right now like freelancer.com, Upworks, they're very difficult to do because they're already saturated. But then also you can start from small. You can start from like Fiverr or something. You can start and then move forward. But this is generally very tough thing to do. The freelancer consultant thing, starting your own business, it's very tougher to do in comparison to even working at FANG. So okay, so another is build your own app startup. It's again the same type of thing. So this freelancer consultant, your own business, most of the freelancer, when they become big, they become like a service company only. They start hiring people and they become like that. Okay, so next is build your own app or a startup. And the last option is content creation, blog, books, YouTube, Udemy. Yeah, you can take it as it's a full-time. I also do all these things except Udemy. So but I'm not doing it full-time, but all of us know Brad Traversy and a lot of people who are doing it full-time. In India also there are people who are doing this full-time. Okay, so it's very tough, but you can do it full-time. Okay, so next let's move forward. So basic tools required: computer and OS. So computer, so whatever I highlighted, it is much easier to it. So even in India most people have Windows, and it is more than sufficient for front-end developer, back-end developer, any developer. Okay, only if you're going towards DevOps, sometimes some Linux terminal is required, but then also Windows subsystem for Linux is coming, and because Docker and Kubernetes require that. Okay, but Windows is more than enough. There will be a lot of people on the internet who will tell you that you need a Mac and all. Mac and all are very costly in India. See, I am using a Windows. I have a Mac also, I know that, but how costly Mac is, you all know. So Windows is more than enough for development, because I am a Windows switcher. Recently I used Mac for more than 3 years. I'm not finding any issues in that. All of our offices gives us Windows, and very good Windows in Windows laptop. The Lenovo ThinkPad is such a good laptop. It can beat a MacBook any day. So, and it is costly also. That what most offices do, most 99% of offices will give you a Windows laptop only some of the startups and some of the US based company. US Mac is very much in demand. So Windows is more than enough as a computer and a OS for everything, almost everything. Okay, and you can create your own Windows PC. That's the main thing. You can upgrade your RAM, you can upgrade your processor, everything. In Mac it is not possible. And Linux I say not to go that way, because I have burned myself with Linux. Linux had so many options that uh, you will end up being a system engineer more than a web developer. You have to means fix it so much because it doesn't work well. And although the world runs on Linux, but it is good on the server. As a PC, as a personal thing, Linux is not good. Either Windows or Mac. A text editor is VS Code. Don't go with Sublime Text, Atom or Vim, because the extension you won't get there. And VS Code is the gem of Microsoft. Again, see, a very good Microsoft product, and it works good with anything, Mac, Windows. So it's a Microsoft product, definitely it will work on Windows. People say in Windows you will get every application which is there in the Mac. Okay, then web browser, I prefer Firefox. Chrome is very heavy nowadays, and Firefox have all the features of Chrome, all the extensions, like sometimes you need the React dev tool, Redux dev tool there as extension. So yeah, Firefox is very good browser. You should not use Chrome. I don't use Chrome. That is very memory heavy, and a lot of problems are there. Terminal, since I use Windows, I use git bash. Mac, if you have a Mac, you have the Mac terminal, Linux terminal. So terminal is very important. And Windows, everybody used to hate the terminal, but the git bash is such a nice terminal. It is like the Linux terminal only. All the Linux command works there. You just have to download it, git bash. Design software, even I don't know that much, but as a means I never required it. But if you want to do, there's Adobe XD is there. They give some free thing also, means 3 applications something free. Figma is also there. Figma is also very good, web based. Sketch and Photoshop nowadays nobody use for designing the website mockups. By designing means website mockups. So you can do this thing, means it will be added thing in your portfolio. Okay, so these are the basic tools required. Then first thing we have to learn is HTML and CSS. So we have to learn HTML5 pages, page structure, and semantic tags. So semantic tags are the new type of tags, they mean something. Like instead of using a div, you can use a section. So they are known as semantic tags. So semantic tags are very good for the screen reader. Nowadays everybody is talking about means everyone should be able to read, like someone with some disability, they should also be able to go through it. Someone with some seeing disability, they use screen reader. So screen reader, how will a screen reader read? This is a div and then thing, but if you write a section, it can do that thing. So that is good for screen readers. Okay, so then you have to know basic CSS styling. This is very important. And then positioning, you have to know position. There are different position is, so learn what is positioning. Then after that, learn flexbox and CSS grid both. Okay, so this is in the order. Then learn responsive design and media query. Okay, and then after that, in the last, learn the CSS framework like Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS. Don't learn them in the start, learn them at the end, because Flexbox and CSS grid are very very important, and they're very easy. Earlier people used to directly go to the framework, because everybody hates CSS. I know that thing, means everybody just want to do programming. So everybody used to go to Bootstrap. Even this happens in company. Everybody starts the project with Bootstrap, but the project becomes so huge and so complex that they have to then hire the pure CSS guy. Pure CSS guy. This is the thing which I created. Yeah, in every project, what happens there, at a time when the project become big and unmanageable in the CSS part, actually, because even big enterprises starts by using Bootstrap and all. So what happens in those companies, after that they have to hire someone who has a very good CSS knowledge, who doesn't know anything about JavaScript and all, because even in my company, even in my project, we have some people like that. So because the project becomes so much unmanageable, the CSS becomes so huge, that you start using Bootstrap, then you need to do something which the designers you have to make as according to the designer, and designers tell something, you are not able to make it with Bootstrap. You have to override it with important tag and all those things. So when you override it, what happens, the CSS get messed up. pretty quickly, and when it get messed up you need an expert. So this is also, if you know very good CSS, you don't need to, you can stop this video right now and just learn HTML and CSS, because you can build your whole career with HTML and CSS. You don't have to go beyond this. You don't have to learn no even JavaScript. CSS is in so much demand also, because generally the engineers, what they do, they don't want to learn CSS. So that's why I'm telling Flexbox and CSS Grid is so simple. If you're doing a personal project also, don't go for Bootstrap, go for Flexbox and CSS Grid. And I'm doing something like this suggested YouTube video. TWD means the web dev, means it is in my channel. So there is HTML and CSS playlist. So when you want to learn HTML and CSS, you can go to, and I cover everything. I think I don't cover Bootstrap, but I cover everything else. Okay, so from Flexbox, CSS Grid, everything, even projects are there in this. So at the end of the video I might give some link also for all these things. So I will give links also for all these things. Okay, so this is HTML and CSS. Next, CSS frameworks. Nowadays Tailwind CSS is very good. It is in very high demand, because it is not like Bootstrap. It is got some low level classes. Bootstrap everything means you can do MD4 or call for. So it is not like that. So even I have to go through it. Tailwind CSS. Then there is Bootstrap, Materialize, and Bulma. So all this you can go, but as I have told, go after you have mastered the CSS, Flexbox and CSS Grid, positioning and all those things. Okay, after that you do that. I don't have any videos on this, but the granddaddy of YouTube, Traverse Media, have videos on this. Okay, so you can go through his videos. Bootstrap crash course, Materialize crash course, build your first Tailwind CSS site, and Bulma crash course. You can go through it. I will give the links to this also in the description. Okay, then after that you have to learn JavaScript. So in JavaScript, what you need to learn in JavaScript, start with the basics. So basics means variable, array, function, loops. Start with that. After that you have to learn DOM and styling. DOM and styling means selecting and manipulating elements. DOM. So JavaScript learning is very important. DOM, document.get element by ID, query selector, all those things, and how you can generate HTML from JavaScript. All those things you have to do, learn. So JavaScript is such a thing that you can learn it in 2 hours, but to master it takes years, because there are many things, low level things are there in JavaScript, but at least you can start it from there. And then array methods are very important, like for each, map, reduce, and filter. Okay, so you learn those things. And then ES6 is very important. Modern JavaScript ES6 was released in 2015. It is very, very important nowadays to learn, because your code will get shorter with it. There are some very good concepts like spread operator, array destructuring, object destructuring, and if you go for the framework like React, Angular, anything, ES6 is a must. In React it's a must, because I expertise in React. I know Angular also, but I expertise in React, so I know how much ES6 has been used in React. Then you should know JSON object. JSON is JavaScript object notation. Everything is in the key value file, and all the internet work in one thing only. Everything you get in the internet is an array of objects. So learn about the array of objects. So that's why you have to learn about JavaScript object notation. Then in JavaScript you have to learn HTTP requests like fetch API, get, put, get, post, put, delete. These things you should know. Means with JavaScript also you should be able to make those small apps, anything, and I have a lot of them in my channel also. So JavaScript is extremely important front end, because there is no replacement for JavaScript on the browser also. No other languages. You will soon see in the backend there are many languages. Front end there is no other language. There is one small language which is coming, which we will see, but mainly there is no other language till now, and that thing will also take some time. I will tell more about that. Okay, so suggested YouTube videos are vanilla JavaScript playlist I have, modern ES6 playlist I have, and JavaScript projects playlist I have. So go through it and you will learn everything, this 3 playlist. Okay, and I teach even the the very tough type of JavaScript also, very advanced type of JavaScript also in those things. Okay, so go through it. And then front-end deployment. Now you should know front-end deployment also, because the thing is that you do everything will be in localhost, or when you do in index, or when you do what it will happen in HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you'll do in index.html, so that will be in a local machine. How we will show the world that you have done something? You have to have a portfolio site to show the world, and portfolio site need links to show the world. You cannot show them that that is in your machine. Okay, and you should know how to host it, so you can start earning also something. Basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript you can start freelancing also with that 3 skills only. I'm not even going till React. Okay, only with these 3 skills you can do anything. Okay, then I know freelancers who have built their whole career on HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, and so static hosting, it is done with Netlify, Firebase or GitHub Pages. So they are modern tools and very easy to use. You just have to push to your GitHub or use some command line tool. And then there is cPanel hosting. cPanel hosting, what is that? This is the old type of hosting like GoDaddy, Hostinger and all those things. cPanel hosting is there. So because your site is in only index HTML, CSS and JavaScript, it is very easy and cheap to host in that only, because you just have to copy paste to their server. So it is very easy for that also. And I think in 500 rupees you can get a domain name also, because domain name is must. Then it's very easy for cPanel hosting also. And then you should be able to deploy a basic website. Some other things that you will not run into during deployment is, you are doing deployment, so you need a domain name, as I was telling. So that you can get from Namecheap you can get, but you have to host your site somewhere. For that you have to go to Netlify or GoDaddy, because your HTML, CSS and JavaScript will be hosted somewhere in the internet. Okay, so that is email hosting, also Namecheap. SSL certificates are very important, but nowadays you must have seen that if some site is with HTTP is there in some site, then it's very difficult. So it gives a lot of error, and browser also it shows that it is unsecure. So SSL certificates are very important. Every site should be HTTPS. So they are by default, it is there in Namecheap. So again, I don't have any videos on this, so you have to again go to deploying sites with Netlify and GitHub Pages and deploying domain. Although I have a blog on that, I have made my portfolio site with GitHub Pages, so I will provide a link for that. Okay, so till this, if you are done HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you can be consider yourself as a foundational front-end developer. Okay, because you can set up a development environment, write HTML, CSS and JavaScript, use a CSS framework as I have written optional, because if you master Flexbox and CSS Grid, CSS frameworks are very easy to pick, and it is not also required, because you should concentrate more on that. You should be able to create responsive layouts. Okay, and then you should be able to connect to third-party APIs. There are a lot available on the internet with fetch, and understand the basic HTTP, how to do the promise and all. So these all are there. This all I also teach in my JavaScript, the 3 playlists which I have given. You can okay, you should be able to use Git and GitHub. So Git is something which is the control system for your project. The freshers, they don't know this, but it is very important, especially those coming from non-engineering background don't know what is Git. But Git is a version control system which is very, very important. Or even I was telling about portfolio website, you can put all your project on GitHub and show that in your resume, and people will go through your GitHub and see what projects you have worked on. You don't even need to deploy it. So Git is a version control system. Then we have GitHub, and we have something like Bitbucket also, which uses this Git. So it is just a hosting thing. GitHub, Git is the main thing, but everybody knows Git by GitHub only. Okay, and what else you should know? You should deploy and manage a website or a small web app. Okay, so this is foundational front-end developer. The next step, what is the next step? The next step is to sharpen your JavaScript skills. So how do you sharpen it? So you should read, there is a book, there is a series. You don't know JS, search about it. This is also freely available on the internet, but it's a very tough book to read. I mean, it goes so much into detail into JavaScript. It's a very nice book. If you go through this, you don't know JS, you know so many things of JavaScript which nobody knows, and your skills will so much sharpened that you can understand anything which is coming in the future also. Then the next step is to learn a front-end framework like React, Vue and Angular. I suggest to learn one, but you can learn all of them also. So just like I had switched many times from React to Angular to React, because I work in a service environment, so sometimes the project comes in React and Angular, so I have to keep switching. But I have worked on more React projects, and I will tell more about it in detail. Vue I have not worked much, and Vue is at a distant third place. Actually, if you go through a Stack Overflow or something, React is way ahead in the game. Any new project any person is doing, any company, startup, enterprise, anything, anybody is doing a new project, it is in React, nothing else matters. So only React. But the older projects are there, they are in Angular, and there are some people who are towards Vue, very small, but you will get projects for that. Okay, and the next step is also to learn a server-side language or technology like Node.js, Python, PHP, C# or Java. So if you don't want to learn, if you want an easy step and want to learn everything, go with Node.js, I will say. Means learning a new language, it's always difficult and time consuming. So you can take your JavaScript skill and apply it to Node.js, and it's very easy. So front-end framework, master one. So as a front-end developer, you're most likely to master on front-end JavaScript framework. And in India means you will not get a job without this thing. Okay, HTML is a JavaScript which I have told. You can do freelancing with that, and you will get job also, but very old type of job. With there is something like which is on a jQuery. So I have not even gone through it because it is not at all relevant. Very few jobs are there. But as a front-end developer, you need job. You have to master one of this. Most probably go with React and Angular with the Indian ecosystem. I will say Vue, I am not seeing that many projects, because in my company a lot of project comes, and I keep an eye on the LinkedIn, on everything. I keep an eye. So most projects are with React and Angular only. Vue, very less projects coming. Startups now, and if you want to learn anything, I will say blindly pick up React. Just blindly pick up React. It is way ahead in the competition. Any new startup is been created, it will use React. Any new enterprise project, because I work on enterprise projects, any new enterprise projects will come, it is in React. And the current project in which also I am working for the past more than 1 year, it is in React. Okay, so enterprise projects will also come in React. So it is not like the earlier what used to happen. Enterprise Angular was very popular because Angular started a bit earlier than React, so it was very popular. But nowadays only those old projects are remaining which are in Angular, and the new project even which we are getting in the companies are in React. So Vue, a very less amount of projects are in Vue in India. Don't go with Vue in India. If the project required, you can easily pick up. If you know React, Angular, or even if you don't know, you know only React or you know only Angular. What is Vue actually? Vue is actually a combination of React and Angular, and it is taking the best feature of both of them. Vue is created by a person who was working in Google in Angular, and he took a lot of features from Angular and the good features from React and created Vue. Okay, so that is like that. And as I am told, I actually like React, and I have a lot of I love React. I love to work in React, and my YouTube channel have also a lot of React content. So I have complete React tutorial playlist, so you can master everything in React from there. And I have React hooks playlist also. Hooks I'm not going to talk much about it, but hooks are the way to go in React right now. But you have to know the class based component, also the older way, which is still relevant and still works. Then you have to know how to manage the state, and for that React it is still relevant. And then React project playlist also I have. Okay, so let's go ahead. TypeScript. So TypeScript, you might have heard TypeScript a lot. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript and is often paired with front-end framework. So actually it depends. Some people don't like TypeScript just like me, and some people who worked with TypeScript, they will say JavaScript is not good. So what is TypeScript? It's bring a strict type system in JavaScript. Means JavaScript, what happens, you can declare anything there as a const. If I declare anything as a const, it can be an integer also, it can be a string also. So there is nothing type like in. I earlier worked with languages like C++ also a lot earlier, means 10-15 years back. So there is still like that. In C++ we used to write int something, string something, so we are declaring it. So that is not in JavaScript. Okay, so it does a type conversion, and sometimes it makes the larger projects a mess. So that's why TypeScript was invented. And TypeScript, you have to mention the type, so it makes your code more robust and less prone to error. But I feel it like an something in addition, and I don't like it that much, because in React it is mandatory. It is not mandatory. You can use TypeScript or you can use JavaScript also. Angular, it is mandatory. Everything is .ts file only. So, and it is great for larger projects, as you will get lesser error, and the larger project, we all know that the bugs are such a big thing. So I don't have anything on this, and but again, Traverse Media have, you can go through his TypeScript crash course. Okay, then the next thing is testing. Testing is a great thing to have, and many projects require front-end developer to do unit test. That is very important, unit test. So when I talk testing, you might be thinking, okay, testing is a tester domain, why should I do the testing? So it is not like that. So I have worked on a project in which a developer have to do the unit test also, and there are a lot of projects, and bigger company you have to do, and a unit test is something which a front-end developer need to do. So because he had to do the testing with library like Chai, Mocha or Jest, yeah, they are the library name. So you have to do it, and it's very important. And in those projects, what happens, the requirement is like that there are test cases, so it should pass 80% of the test cases, then only you can push it to the production. So the requirement is like that. Then there is integrated testing. Now this is what the tester generally do, but I have seen projects in which the front-end developer also needed to do the integrated testing, because I have worked on projects like that to integrated testing. But you don't need to generally know this integrated testing. If you want to know, you should know unit testing only. Integrated testing is generally which the tester do, and they generally do it manually testing, because they know all the functionality of the web app. So they will do it manually testing, means they will go to different part of the site, they will put different input and all those things. So that is known as manual testing, and it is slowly dying. So to all my tester friends, please, if you are manual tester, go with automated tools, because there are automated tools like Selenium. And once you use Selenium, means I have seen Selenium in work, you will see like a magic is happening. You start Selenium, you have to write some test cases there, and it will automatically log into your website as if a user is logging in and do all the tests. It is completely automated, but then you have to code, and that is what some testers don't like, because you have to code there. You have to write test cases in Java or Python. You have to write those test cases for Selenium, and that works like that, because I have worked a bit on that, and Java test cases I have written. But again, it's more of a tester domain, it is not a front-end developer domain. But yeah, unit test, if you go to a mid-level company, or even I think in FANG also, it is very important, or a product-based company, unit testing is required by developer. Okay, so again, I don't have much, because I have not done testing in a long time. So again, Traverse Media have some courses, just crash course and intro to testing with Mocha and Chai. Next thing is server side rendering. Okay, so we can run frameworks like React and Vue on the server. So what is the advantage? The advantage is better SEO and easy routing. So what is better SEO? If you have worked in a React project and you open the console, you will not see anything. Actually, you will not, because everything is rendered in a React. I can say everything is rendered in a root tag, so you will not see anything. So if you cannot see, how will the Google bot see anything? What is SEO? The Google bot comes to your site and it scans your site, but if the Google bot come to your site, and when it will scan the site, it will not find, it will find only a div root. How you will get the SEO? Then you will ask, why is then React used for? React is used for big web apps. Actually when it was started, it was not for, it is not to create a site for a GoDaddy or a small site. It is created for bigger web apps. We don't even require SEO. Means bigger enterprise project. In most of the project in which I am working, their enterprise project, they are never on the internet. They are internal. Means what is nowadays the web apps? Earlier we used to have desktop apps. Nowadays we have web apps for everything. So all the projects in which I am working, in which the operator who have to work, he will go to a internal website and do everything. Okay, so that is what are web apps. They don't even require SEO. SEO is in fact very bad for them if the outside world know. So 90% of the projects will be like that. But if some project require SEO, just like say WhatsApp is there or Facebook is there, and Facebook they themselves have created React, so they uses a lot of React components. Now they require SEO, so they will use something known as Next.js. I don't know what they use, but if your company have a front-end facing product, there are many startups which are front-end facing product which are not enterprise product, so it's very good to use Next.js because it gives you better SEO, because it is on a server and the routing is also very easy. In React we have to use React router, it's so tough. And then the next thing is Next.js, so they have used the Next.js word only. It is for Vue. And Angular Universe, I don't know anything about it, so it is used in Angular. I have limited knowledge on Angular. I have worked on I think 3 projects in Angular, 1 in Angular JS and 2 in Angular 2 plus. So but I still don't know that much Angular. So again, I don't have any videos on this. Again, you have to go to Brad Traversy, Site Traversy Media, Next Crash Course, build a blog with Next.js and Ghost. Okay, I'm also thinking to do some Next.js stuff on my site, but that will be soon. I'm right now busy with the clone series, so I live stream every Saturday. You can see the clone series. Okay, so then there is something known as static site generator, and I can say I am an expert on that because I have given more than 2 years of my life to this static site generator. So what does static site generators do? So static site generators generate your website at build time and render plain HTML, CSS and JavaScript for the browser. So generally what a React application generally renders on the runtime. So what it does, when you build the site, so it builds the HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and HTML, CSS and JavaScript which is there, it will be super fast. React applications won't, it is more faster than React application because it doesn't run on the runtime and render it runs on the build time, and it generates HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And this is very good for SEO also because HTML, CSS and JavaScript is there. This is super fast and very good for SEO. And there is static site generator known as Gatsby, which is React based, Gridsome, which is Vue.js, Jekyll you might know a lot because through Jekyll and Hugo only the static site generator came into picture. So one is Ruby based, one is Go based, but the most popular one is Gatsby. And I'm saying I'm expert because I have 3 books on this: Foundation Gatsby project, Extending Gatsby and Advanced Gatsby projects, and they have been released by the top technical publisher in the world. So Foundation Gatsby project, you can go ahead and buy it. So whom this thing is for? So if you want to make it portfolio sites, I will say it is much better to make it in Gatsby. It is very easy and it's a React based. The main thing is that you will enjoy and you will learn GraphQL also, which you will see a bit later on. So it is much better to you create a portfolio site using Gatsby against the traditional WordPress which most people used to do. So create it with Gatsby, your portfolio site. Blog sites goes very well with this, so you have many options. We'll soon see. So all those things goes very well, but Gatsby has become so powerful that you can create everything from an e-commerce site to everything you can create with fully functional. But the thing is that it renders on the build time. So suppose you have an e-commerce site in which every 1 hour you have to update the product. It is not good for that. What will happen, you have a production site, so you have a very big production site in which you add products every 1 hour, so it will build the whole site again. But it is like that, you even if you add products say in a day and one time, it is very fast. You add the product, it will build your site again, and it will be super fast. So I will then go with it like that. If your site doesn't get updated that frequently, like in every 1 hour, then go with it. It's very fast. Okay, so let's go ahead. So headless CMSs. What is headless CMS? So headless CMSs are backend only content management system that is commonly used in a static site generator, which we have seen previously. So there is Strapi, Sanity.io, Contentful, and WordPress also have a headless WordPress. So what is CMS and how it is different from database? Many people will be confused with what is CMS, content management system. See what happens, database is very technical actually. You have to know those select queries and all those things, and even with MongoDB and Firebase, a lot of technical terms is required. And headless CMS are like very easy. If you want to add a post, you can go there, add a post like a site, and click on post. So what happens when you work with some client in the WordPress world also, the CMS actually come from there only. So what you should do, you will do the code anywhere in WordPress. There is no code, you will just deploy it, but you will give access to the WordPress CMS to your client, who doesn't have to touch the code. He just have to add content in it, and it is like a database, but it's very easy, so that even a non-developer can use it. So with Gatsby, Contentful goes very well. It is a modern CMS and it's very easy to use. So what happens, suppose I create a e-commerce site. So I will not give the React code to a client. Anyways, he will not know anything about React code anything. Gatsby is completely in React. So I will give him access to Contentful, and he will add his recipes, his posts, his items, anything. It's very easy to use for a common person also. Just a computer literate person can use very easily. And so that is how headless CMSs are used. Again, suggested books are my books only, because I cover all of these things there. Okay, then Jamstack, which is very popular nowadays. Jamstack is known as JavaScript API and Markup. So this is actually the web structure with high performance SEO, scalability at the lower cost, with a great developer experience. What does that mean with a great developer experience? See, 10 years back, I did a lot of WordPress development, and I hated it. Why did I hate it? Because I love coding. That's why I hated it. WordPress development, you will see yourself like an operator who is just going there and putting something. You can earn good in WordPress also, but developer experience is not there. Developers like to code, and with this you're doing everything in React or Vue. You will code and you will learn so much. With GraphQL also you will learn so much that you will get a very good developer experience. And this is something which is aiming for WordPress thing, means you can create because enterprise generally don't use this that much, but the small agencies, small service companies which create a small product, so it is a replacement for WordPress also. And when I was using WordPress, there was another issue, which is even today there. WordPress sites are very slow first, and they are not secure, and both of them are covered here. So because they're static site, they're very fast. I can take a guarantee on that. They're 10 times faster than WordPress site. Okay, so the static sites, and you can use many ways like Markdown. You can use, there is the web dev which you are seeing. I have my site, it has got more than 450 posts are there. Everything is in Markdown. I'm not even using a CMS, because CMS is for client, means I am a technical person. I convert my post to Markdown and put it. So it is just in a GitHub. So MDX file is there and it is serving from that. Then you have serverless also there, and headless CMS for content, which you have seen earlier. Hosting with services on Netlify is a breeze. Means in my site also, I just have to add some post in MDX and just do a git push, and it pushes to Netlify and it deploys it. I don't have to worry everything is so smooth. Means you don't have to worry about anything like devops and all those things, just pushes to Netlify. So, and again, I cover everything in my book. So now we have come to the front-end superstar. Okay, so you have become a front-end superstar if you learn till here. So you can build apps and interfaces with front-end framework like React, Vue, and this. Work with component and global state. We have not covered much of it, but in React, a component level state is there, and a global state is also there, which we have to do with Redux and all. Connect to backend JSON data. Yeah, so the data is always in JSON. You should be able to connect to it. And write and test clean and optimize code. So this is very important. You should be able to write and test clean and optimize code. Okay, and optional is use TypeScript to write more robust code. This is completely optional because I also don't write TypeScript. Okay, then you should know server-side rendering. I know a bit of server-side rendering, like Next I know a bit, and this is optional. And static site generator or Jamstack, and so I know a lot about a static site generator. So if you want, you can. It is very easy to learn. If you know React, it is very easy, and you will enjoy it to do it. Means create a portfolio site in it and you will enjoy it. Okay, so and then now you become a front-end superstar. Now we will go to the server side. So server side language, master one actually. The backend focuses on data modeling and HTTP request and response. Server side language is required to build a complete web app. Yeah, server side language is required, but it is not completely true actually. There is a wonderful service known as Firebase. Actually, I am creating some web apps with that. So for that, what they have done, you don't even need to know that much backend technologies also only. They have completely removed that backend part. So what used to happen in backend, but that I see Firebase being used in smaller projects only, but slowly that is changing because I take a lot of interviews also for my company, and I'm slowly seeing those small companies, they're using Firebase a lot. It is very easy to use. You don't need a specific backend with Firebase, and you can, means it's a database actually. Generally, to connect to a database from a front end, you need a backend in the mid. Backend something like, because you have to have the endpoints actually. So for that, Firebase is gaining popularity, but it is still not there. So, and in bigger projects, you will always use either Node.js. Means even the startups, they will use Node.js. You will have endpoints. So the best thing, if you come from a React world, is to learn Node.js, and if you find 10 jobs with your React skill, you will find 100 jobs with your MERN skill. MERN stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. So it is like that. Your employability spikes because you can now build a complete web apps if you know that Node.js part. So learn that. It is very easy for a JavaScript developer. Then there is Dino. This is a new backend technology created by the creator of Node only. But I will say not go with it right now because it is the very beginning stages, and it is not completely done. It is still in a beta version type of thing. So, and you will not get any job on it. Nobody is using it right now actually. Only for some smaller projects smaller projects also, like hobbyist projects only, it is getting used. It is been used in almost nil companies. So it will take another 2 years, but I have heard it is very good, and it can soon replace Node also, because Node, there is an npm thing which is very bad with it. If you work with React also uses Node in the back, so your computer disk space will get filled within 2-3 months. You can easily fill 100 GB if you regularly work on it, because those Node modules take a lot of space. Okay, then next language is Python. Python is still relevant, means Python is always relevant, means after JavaScript it is the second most popular language on the planet, and loved by a lot of people. PHP is from the older days, but it's still relevant. Actually, Facebook was created completely on PHP, and it is still relevant today also. In India, it's a lot of relevant. A lot of people works on PHP on smaller projects, smaller clients, because for client it doesn't matter. You create the project in React or something. He just wanted a e-commerce site, and you can very easily create it with PHP. Okay. Then C# and Java, both of them are still today used in enterprise projects a lot. A lot means a lot, because enterprise projects, bigger projects, everything requires C# or Java. So that are the way, because what I have felt that Node cannot process that many requests, so that's why Java is required. Okay, Java and C#, both of them are used. C# is mainly used with Angular as a backend technology. Angular goes very well with C#.net. Okay, and Java goes well with everything. So it is like Java, still going very strong. Then Go and Ruby are also there. So this video, I have built a Tinder clone with Jamstack, so you can go through it. It's a very good course, means you can, Node.js is so easy, you can pick it up very easily. Okay, so then after that, server-side frameworks. We'll come into server-side frameworks. A framework is used with the language in the backend web development. For Node, you have something known as Express, but Express is so much interlinked with Node that you will not even know that you are using Express or not. Means it is so much interlinked. Then Koa is there, which I have not used. Python, Django and Flask are there. Django is very popular. Actually, Django is very popular, and it goes well with React also. So you find a lot of job openings with React and Django at the backend. So a lot of people use that. And PHP is making a comeback. Actually, people say PHP is back, but PHP have a framework known as Laravel. It is way too popular. Laravel is also very, very popular, and it is used a lot in India. Okay, then C#. Again, as I have earlier told, we are 5 million developers in India, and most of the project which the companies get are enterprise projects. So C# is very much relevant, and I know a lot of ASP.NET C# developers, a lot of them out there. Still it is going very strong. Java, we all started with Java. The IT revolution in India started with Java in the 90s. So Java is still, you find a lot of Java developer. And then Ruby on Rails, there is a framework Ruby on Rails. So this is also very popular, but nowadays not much people use it, but a lot of companies still have Ruby on Rails thing. So still today, means all of these things are relevant. C# and Java are relevant in the enterprise world, PHP in the freelancing world and small companies, Django, Node, Node.js, startup a lot they are used, and even in bigger companies they are used for smaller project. Or sometimes I have seen one thing, see, in this Node is used as a middleware, so middleware for front-end developer, and then after that they create the backend as Java. So Node is always there. So even in our project we use Node a lot. So then suggested YouTube videos are, again, I don't have any videos on this, so you have to go to Traverse Media, again our granddaddy. So Laravel crash course, you have Django crash course, you have Flask crash course, you have Rails crash course, you have got everything. So I will provide a link. Okay, then the database. So for a backend developer, the database is very important. So backend need a database to store a data permanently. So when you post something on Facebook, write something and post, it is generally stored in a database. That's why that is permanent. If it is not stored in a database and it is stored in a browser, that will not be permanent. It is stored somewhere in the Facebook database. That's why you are able to retrieve it. So for that, database is very much required. If some data you need to persist, you need database. And traditional databases were the relational database. Nowadays NoSQL databases are very popular, which don't have queries like select star from something. Earlier in our days, we have done. I was a database developer also earlier in my days, so 10 years back. So I have done a lot of select star from all those things and all. I have done a lot of those things, joins and all those things. So it's get tougher and it's a full-time work. Sometimes database developer is a full-time work. Okay, so but this NoSQL databases are so simple that it is not a full-time work also. Means they have JSON like structure. JSON object key value pair are there, so it is very easy to pick up MongoDB, especially the merge stack what I was telling. So but then also this traditional databases are so powerful that even I have seen in enterprise projects they use traditional database also. No, only not the NoSQL databases. Like Postgres is very easy database to learn, and I'm soon going to create a project on this Postgres SQL also. Then there is MongoDB, which I have said earlier. MongoDB is there. Okay, so MongoDB is a NoSQL database which is very very popular actually. MongoDB, because it goes well with your MERN stack. Okay, MERN stack, it goes very well, MongoDB. So, and it's a JSON like a structure. Then Firebase. Firebase is like a mix of everything, like a SQL, like a relational database. Traditional databases are also known as a relational database, and your NoSQL database. So it's a combination. It's very very easy to use. Means, as I have told earlier, you don't even need a backend for to use Firebase, and I have many good clones on that Firebase. And MySQL and Oracle is the older database. I used to work on Oracle 10 years back. So again, I have a lot of course on MERN stack in which you learn MongoDB, and then I have some clones on Tinder and TikTok. They are based on Firebase again. Okay, so they are based on Firebase, so you can go through them. Then there is something known as GraphQL. So the list keeps on growing and growing. So this is the query language for API, which is an alternative for RESTful endpoints. So what is RESTful endpoints? So when you learn backend, you will learn that there are always endpoints are there. There are GET requests, there are POST requests, there are PUT requests, delete requests. For everything endpoints are there. Especially the GET requests are a very difficult thing to handle. Why? Suppose I am Facebook. I'm working on a Facebook, and there is a user on his feed. I have to show around 10,000 posts at one go, so how I will do? So in earlier days, what you have to do, you have to go to an endpoint and get all those 10,000 posts, and the thing is that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to get the data from the API. It will take 1 or 2 seconds, so everything will be slow. So GraphQL was again developed by Facebook. So what is it's after using it a lot, I have used it a lot in Gatsby actually, so I know a bit of it. It seems like a SQL query to me. So you can query and you can get a subset of the data, so that there is not much pressure on the database to give you everything, and the data gets loaded faster on the website, because suppose I want only 100 posts at one time, so I can get those 100 posts with a query, and it has got only one endpoint. You hit that endpoint and get all those 100 queries. So this is very powerful stuff. So it is the replacement of RESTful endpoint. So RESTful is just a theoretical term because all the languages it's create RESTful, so it can work on the top of all of your languages. So it is used both at a backend and a front end. So set up a GraphQL server and query using client like Apollo. So GraphQL clients are there, you have to query using that, and it goes with React and the ecosystem. So easy to use with React and as I've told. So I have a very good video on this. Is full, it's a 2-part video, full stack app using React and GraphQL. So you can go through it, and it's very easy and deployment, server and DevOps. So we need to deploy apps to production, monitor it, secure it and containerize it. So we are going more into DevOps territories, but then also you should know a bit of it. Okay, so hosting, Heroku, DigitalOcean, AWS. Actually I have used a lot of Heroku backend. You have to have something which have a node environment backend, because it is for Node.js. I'm telling Node.js you cannot do it on a GoDaddy and all, so you need a Linux type of environment. For which Heroku is very popular, and it is very easy setup is also. I have used a lot of Heroku. Even I have used a bit of AWS also in one of my site, but AWS is so complicated, the process is so complicated. I don't know why Amazon made the process so complicated, the site and all. So the DevOps term I think was developed because of AWS only, because the setup for AWS and all, it is so tough that you need special people to do that, and there are so many things in AWS, so they are known as DevOps. So when you go into AWS, you are going to the DevOps territory, not a developer territory. And in my view, DevOps are not actually DevOps, they are only ops. Well, my friends whom I have talked, they all say that we hardly do any coding. It is always ops, not dev. It is always ops, because there is so much setup is required that you hardly get any time for development. So that is like that. But there are some of the hosting solution which are made on top of AWS, like Heroku, DigitalOcean. They're so easy that everyone had to learn it. At the end of the day, if you're making a small project also, you have to deploy it somewhere to show in a portfolio. If you're doing freelancing, you have to create it for the client. So that's why Heroku, DigitalOcean, you can master it, and it is no DevOps stuff, you can easily master it. And then web server and Nginx, Apache, they were used earlier. Nowadays nobody uses it. Container, again a DevOps stuff. Docker and Kubernetes. So what are Docker and Kubernetes? So what happens, you might have heard that famous line, it works on my machine. This is a famous developer line. So sometimes what happens, see, everybody have a different operating system. Many people love Macs. American love Mac, Indians can't afford that, so Indian work on Windows. But there are many companies which give Macs, and enterprise also give Windows only. So like that, suppose I have a Mac, someone is using Windows, someone is using Linux, because Linux people are also, there are a lot of people who die hard fan of Linux. They will waste their 10 hours on Linux setup, but they will use Linux. Okay, so what happens, some web apps you make, it will work on Mac Linux is different than the normal Linux and Windows, but it will not work on Windows. So Docker, so nowadays this Docker concept is there, so you will Dockerize your app. So Docker will be the environment in which you will create that app. Now it will run on Mac also, Windows also, and Linux. So then your developer cannot say anything. And generally these are such a big task that they're done by the DevOps. I have worked with DevOps team, so they used to give us this container and we have to push our code there. And then the next thing is that image and video upload, we use something known as content delivery network, like Cloudinary, AWS S3 and ImageKit. Actually Cloudinary, ImageKit I use a lot. What happens, most of the website gets slow because of the images only. Images takes a lot of time and bandwidth to download, so we use something known as content delivery network. For that I use a lot of Cloudinary and ImageKit on my site, because my site, the web dev, is very much image heavy. So what they do, they have different servers throughout the world known as content delivery network. So your images will load very fast if you you just have to store it like a Google photo, and the rest of the thing they will do it. You will get a link and you have to use that thing they will do. Then there is something known as CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Again a DevOps things, but because of the complexity assigned with that, Jenkins, Travis CI and Circle CI. I have used Jenkins and Travis CI, and Jenkins is very difficult to set up again. And what happens, so there is a complete pipeline in deployment, means you push it to a GitHub and it will go to different places in bigger projects like enterprise level. So it goes to different places, deploy. So Jenkins gives a very good graphical type of thing, so it will show it is getting deployed. If some error is there, it will stop the deployment right now, and it is very nice thing to have. So containers and CI/CD, very much DevOps thing, and AWS is there. And I don't have much videos on this, but suggested video again, Traverse Media exploring Docker and DevOps crash course. So now you have become a full stack developer if you know all these things. So comfortable with both front-end UI and servers, know a server-side language or technology, okay, can work with structured databases as we have seen. So you can create RESTful APIs with languages like Node, Java and all those things, and can successfully deploy full stack project. This is very important. You should know those things like Heroku and all, and you can successfully deploy. Okay, optional, can create GraphQL server and connect to a GraphQL client. So and give another 2-3 years, everything means GraphQL will be very much relevant. I still feel that GraphQL server is a bit stable. GraphQL client is still not stable, especially the Apollo client. It is still not stable that much because everything is open source and company put heavy cost on it. So actually what happened with React, React hooks came, so everybody was in a rush to move everything to React hooks. So earlier with GraphQL client, we used to have higher order component for everything. Now they have moved everything to hooks, and this breaks a lot of things, means the newer things always get breaks. So it will get some time, take some time to be stable. So but it is the future, because even in smaller projects, if you have 10,000 of records, you don't want 10,000 of records to hit a endpoint and get that. Okay, so it is the future. Then mobile development. Okay, mobile development means I used to be a mobile developer, but I have not done. I used to be a Swift developer, React. So I have created a lot of games on means 4-5 years back, a lot of games for iOS. So but it is now easier for mobile app development. Why? Because if you know the technologies like web development technologies, you can be a mobile developer easily. And if you know mobile developer along with your crash course, you will be such a hot pick, means every startup out there will be after you, because you can. So how you can be a full stack developer? So what I'm telling, be a full stack developer with JavaScript, React and Node.js, and learn React Native. You will be in super high demand. Why React Native? Why not Flutter? Flutter is so much, everybody say it is easier and all. I have not gone much to Flutter. I have done React Native because I have done some client projects, also freelancing projects, and some blogs also with React Native. It is very easy to pick up as a React developer. But a Flutter, you have to learn a new language, Dart, which I don't like. Means I have never learned Dart, but why I should learn a new language when I already know React? So Flutter, but people like it. But Flutter and React Native, both of them, what is have means they are web related technology in which you can create cross platform apps. Okay, so you don't have to learn like the thing is that if you want to develop for mobile app for Android, you have to learn Kotlin or Java. For iOS it is Swift. But with React Native and Flutter, you can create an app in only one language and it will go to both of them. Yeah, there are complexities and lot of things are there, and if the bigger companies generally go towards this native languages only. Why? Because a lot of features are still not available for this Flutter, and React Native notifications are not that much good. But yeah, small apps anyway, you can go small web apps, and for freelancing and all those things, okay, you can anyways go for that. Okay, so again, I don't have much videos, and I also want to go deep into React Native actually, but I have so much React stuff to learn and to create that I think it will take me next year to go to React Native. Okay, so again, you have Flutter crash course, React Native crash course, and Kotlin crash course from our granddaddy Traverse Media. Then something known as progressive web app. This you can do any day. Progressive web app is a completely native feel as experience, layout, and functionality built for all screen offline content service worker HTTPS. Okay, so what is happen when you create a React app? You by default you get a progressive web app because there is already something known as service worker. You only have to make it responsive, means for all screen. There is something known as lighthouse audit. You go through the lighthouse audit, learn about it, and your app will be progressive web. So what a progressive web app? You might have seen, if you visit some website on your mobile, it will ask for whether I should add an icon to the screen, and you press yes, it will add an icon to the screen. And when you click on that icon, you'll see it is not a website, it is like an app. So what is different between website and app? So website have that bar in which the website name is displayed. All of those things will be gone. It will behave like an app, it will behave like a complete app. And even PWS are been now, you can submit PWS to Google Play Store also right now. And there are many lighter apps like Facebook Lite and all those things, they're PWS. So they don't have the complete features of Facebook, because PWS right now they can't have the complete feature like notifications and all. But you can create a light apps. Even so, see, the bigger companies are also using PWS. It is very easy for an app to be completed to PWS. You just have to make it responsive. So you can again see a Traverse Media video, or you can search for some other videos. Okay, so intro to service workers. So now you can create desktop apps with web technology. See, earlier in the 90s and the 2000s, so the desktop apps were very popular, and Java and C# were used to create those desktop apps. See, right now only, see, all companies, you have to prepare web app, and you have to give to their operator some deployed link. But earlier everything used to be a web app, so Java and C# used to dominate. Right now you can create desktop app with JavaScript. There is something known as Electron, and there is something known as nw.js, and Python and Tinker I don't know much. But Electron, why is Electron very popular? The most popular code editor today is VS Code, created by Microsoft, and it is created using Electron. So see, that much powerful Electron have become. So you can create that, and again you can have some Traverse Media video and intro to Electron desktop app with nw.js and desktop GUI with Python and Tinker. I don't know much about it, but Electron, maybe sometime in the future I want to dive into Electron, because I don't get much time. So but I will. Okay, so that is there. Then yeah, this is something which I wanted to discuss, WebAssembly. So what is WebAssembly? A lot of buzz around this word WebAssembly. So actually, as I have earlier told, that in the browser only JavaScript works. See, we have seen in the backend a lot of other languages are there, but in the browser only JavaScript is there. React, Angular, they're all JavaScript frameworks, so only JavaScript is there. But since everything is moving to the browser, what the bigger companies have thought that it is very difficult to make powerful web apps like games. It is very difficult to make on the web browser. Yeah, for game you click a desktop icon and all those things, a desktop app, it is easy. But if you want to create very powerful games, so nowadays everybody want to play everything online, so it is very difficult. Video editing, you cannot do video editing on a web browser, but everybody want to do video editing. Everybody, nowadays everybody, that's why the Google Chromebooks are so popular. Nobody want to have any app on that. Everybody want to do everything on the browser. So how to do that? JavaScript is still not able to do all those heavy stuff. So the bigger companies like Fang, they have decided to make something known as WebAssembly. It is an improvement to JavaScript, and it is not a replacement of JavaScript. So it will only take the heavier task. Okay, so and it will use the traditional language, not JavaScript, like C# and a newer Rust object-oriented programming. So C#, not C#, C++. So C++ is again coming into fashion because of that. So they compile it to WASM. So you have to keep an eye on this. This is a very good thing. JavaScript is not go anywhere, but you should know languages like C++ and Rust. Actually, I think I also have Rust my C++ skills, which I have left 15 years back. I started as a C++ developer actually. So that I have to again. So that's one of the reason our granddaddy Brad Traversy is creating courses on Rust and C#, C++, because in 2-3 years the WebAssembly will be like craze. Means you can create everything with this WebAssembly thing. This is still in the very beta type of version, and there is something known as assembly script, which is a variant of TypeScript and make easy to compile to WASM. If someone develops that, then it will be easier for JavaScript developers actually, because TypeScript is not that much hard to pick up. So but then also I will say go with one object oriented language like C++ and Rust, and and keep that in your toolkit, so that when WebAssembly become main assembly, you can go through it. Okay, then after that, this is one of the very controversial topic which I wanted to discuss. Controversial means algorithm and data structure. Why I am telling it is that controversial thing. See, algorithm and data structure, in my 16 years career, I have never used it. I have learned it in my engineering, but I have never used it. Why? Because I have not worked for that much big product level companies, or I have not worked for Fang also. So, and what I have heard from them also, like that this is a major part of the interview process. You cannot clear any product based company or a Fang without knowing algorithm and data structure. Okay, you just cannot clear it, because they will ask this only. So what I have heard, they also don't use that much in their inside the companies, but that I don't know. But the main thing is that they make your code more efficient, algorithm and data structure. So you should know which data structure to use when to make your code more efficient. So that's why the bigger companies, the bigger means the money which is there in Fang only, means everybody is crazy about Fang. So if you work in a Fang and create a YouTube video, you will get 50k subscriber in a month, and I am still struggling with 1k subscribers. So guys, please do subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about the web development. And I find this thing somewhat boring also, because it is sometimes not related to, but if your goal is to work in a product company and a Fang, go for it. But if your goal is to love coding, love to work in a startup and all those things, it is not required. But it adds to your toolkit. So because you are not ever going to use linked list, quicks, stack, trees, graph, hash table in the JavaScript, but there are many popular sites like CodeWar, Project Euler, Coderbyte, and as I have mentioned, it is a must for a Fang. And suggested site, we all have seen those sites of Algo Expert. If you want to be a software developer at Google, go to Algo Expert. I think it's a good thing. And there are many other things, because I don't know much about it. Although one thing I have to say, I have got Fang calls also. So that is something which I have got, but I never for me it is very difficult. I don't like to learn algorithm and just those this much, so I never concentrate on Fang. but when I get a call from them, I do give the interview and I fail miserably. Okay, so I have got a call from Google, Microsoft and Uber. Okay, so and give an interview for Uber. Okay, so let's go ahead. So what's now? So create a learning part on what you want to do. Okay, learn the fundamentals and necessary technologies. Create a learning part means if you want to be a front-end developer, and take it in a step in which I have shown in the slide. Means first become a JavaScript developer, then become a React developer or any framework developer, and you become that much only, you will get a job easily. And after that everything is extra. You will get a better job, you will get a better promotion if you become a full stack developer, if you have React Native in your toolkit, if you have GraphQL in your toolkit, if you have Gatsby in your toolkit, you can do a lot of freelancing work. Okay, so those things are there. So watch tutorial, read books, but create your own project. That is very important. And the most important thing is create a portfolio and a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is a must. Without LinkedIn you cannot get anything. Portfolio, LinkedIn profile. Okay, I have not mentioned GitHub also you have, but you should have, but portfolio and LinkedIn profile are very important. And start applying for jobs or find client. Find client means it's very easy to, means if you getting a developer skills is like a magical skills. If you get those skills, you can find clients, means do some freelance work. Everybody needs a website, web app nowadays. It is not a small work to make a simple website also, means. And if you want to make a simple website, I will say make it in Gatsby. You will just enjoy the process and you will learn React and GraphQL a lot in that way. So websites are always in demand. Means it's like my brother-in-law, he have his own company. He asked me to make a website. I made it in Gatsby. So everybody have relatives like that. You can start like that, you can add that in your portfolio, and that's how your portfolio get updated. Okay, so hope you like this long post. I think we have come to an end to it, and you will follow this part, and it's not that much difficult to be a web developer. So do become a web developer and make us all proud. Thank you for watching it.